Abyss of Legends Invisible Woman is bugged, Crystal Opening Well is quitting the game, and Kabam confirms this champion is too powerful to enter the contest. Yes, hello everybody, welcome to Wednesday's edition of Marvel Contest of Champions News, your 29th of January edition of the news. Hopefully having a good week so far, and it's nearly the end. It will be okay. Also, just before getting into the news, I want to give a massive thank you, as always, to my Patreons, to my YouTube members, and as well my current Twitch subscribers. And obviously, if you do want to give a free Twitch sub to anybody and you have Amazon Prime, you don't have to give it to me, but it does help. If you want to do that, then go to link in the description to take you over to Twitch and follow the process. And now, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you and me into the news. We kick off the Marvel Contest of Champions news with Longshot and Mojo. As you know, yesterday I posted a video all about this, but I think the craziest thing about this is the way that I don't think people have kind of warmed to Mojo, and I got to be honest, it's actually one of my favourite looking champions that have been released. Longshot here just looks like, well, any other bog standard champion, but obviously with differences, and it will be completely different. It's just a case of like, well, you haven't seen a scorpion-like creature that's a fat blob with dreadlocky type things and some kind of mechanical like tail thing. But the reason that I'm bringing this up as a story, even though we kind of like covered it yesterday and talked about it, is that there may be a possibility, and I did think that the way that they're set up with being a tech and a mutant, that they were going to be tech and mutant. But there could be a good reason and potential data mine information that points to these two characters actually being mystic based, which is a bit of a revelation. As I did when I did my kind of like abilities type video of comic book history, there are mystical based powers that could be represented of these two characters. So it could have been possible, as I did say in that video, but it was unlikely based on the type of build of the characters being more technical based and one being more sciencey based, in my own opinion. Either way, what's your thoughts of these two being mystics? Really, really weird to kind of find out they could be those. With Otrix confirming this, with saying that Mojo is going to be mystic, prestige 10,610, and then Longshot being a 10,590 and being two mystic champions. Yeah, crazy, crazy for February. Next up, an Abyss of Legends Invisible Woman. Now, I did hear a story about this on Twitter, which we're going to look at this in a moment. But the fact is, it really does suck if that's the case, that she is bugged. And obviously, Tipo saying her health keeps resetting after the shield resets. It's not 100%, but it's happened to me twice after taking 50%. Now, I did see this in Seaton's live stream when he was fighting off against her, that a big kind of like jump of health. And I was thinking, okay, so that's part and parcel that comes with it. But is it meant to be as excessive as it is? Shout out to X-Ray Dude for sending this through, and it again adds a bit more kind of light to the subject, saying, we would first like to thank you for taking the time to submit your concern to us. We are currently experiencing a large number of contacts regarding this specific issue, and so we may be unable to answer you individually. With that being said, we did want to let you know that we are currently investigating your concern. As soon as we have an update for you, we will be among the first to know. In the meantime, if you have any concerns or questions regarding this, yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. Obviously, with this being such a brand new piece of content, you do not really want to see situations like this. Now, seeing this is absolutely depressing, to say the least, to see like that health that you've taken away from the enemy just rapidly regain. And I obviously know that there's certain aspects to the build of the champion nodes and whatnot, but the fact is, it is still really excessive. It's beyond frustrating. And the only thing I can really say and advise is just hold back on when you plan to get into Abyss. And as well, I'm not sure if Kabam would consider like compensating those that have spent heavily to then get through that particular fight. But obviously, Kabam Lyra is saying that a couple of days ago, we are looking into this now. Thank you for the report. So I don't know if anything's been sorted out. There's been no update from Kabam on the situation. If there is anything, I'll let you know in Friday's edition of the news. Now, a couple of days ago, I was sent this. This is a video by Crystal Opening Well. Link is in the description if you do want to check it out. And basically, he's saying his point about why he is now quitting Marvel Contest of Champions, or at least quitting putting any kind of like money into the game. Kind of references a few things, if you know, with the whole gifting event and gifting saga, and how that being a case that Kabam seemed to sort out people that did fraudulent units or did like means of kind of asking for refunds because they didn't really help out too much towards the actual gifting event in general. So therefore, why hasn't Kabam fully investigated the full aspects of the gifting event? Now, I'm not going to go on and on about the gifting event. The fact is, it is sad to see a player leave, regardless if they put a lot of money into the game or not so much money into the game and basically are a free-to-play player. The fact is, it is sad to see players leave the game, and especially for reasons being because the developer hasn't put a fair and kind of, well, I'd say competitive, but at the same time, there were cheaters in the gifting event this 2019. So yeah, it's just a case of like, if it's not fair, or there's not a fair game that's been put in place, or maybe people have kind of bent the rules of the terms of service, then yeah, it's kind of sad to not have that in place, and it's sad to see a player leave for that reason. Again, regardless if they put a lot of money in or not a lot of money in. Moving on to somewhat positive news, and that is some changes that are going to be really beneficial for players based on the changelog that has been put up on the forums. As you know, two pretty cool things is that we're going to have prestige displayed on some of the profiles, and as well alliance prestige. That's going to be exciting to reveal all mysteries. There's somewhat good news for Corvus players that use the SP1, and there's very few people that are Corvus players that use the SP1, or always the SP2, baby. So yeah, anyway, the other stuff is like Dr. Doom. I'm looking forward to this. Power prevention while his aura is active is no longer treated as power lock. That is pretty good. Also, we've got a Death Spores problem with Omega Red. That is something we talked about in the news recently about the tenacity kind of interaction, which was a little bit of an issue. Just going back to that Dr. Doom matter, even though it's not specifically using the words power prevention in his abilities, I think what it's referring to is that when you're in the aura, and this is like stuff like light attacks grant no power and still 3%, whether or not that's the case, that it's a case if you can build power, or they will be changing that. It's kind of like, I'm not 100% sure on the specifics of that just yet. Something that I think needs a little bit more clarification. Luckily, we do have that extra clarification, where Kabam's a bit saying, hey there, Dr. Doom's abilities make it so that while his aura of Hazaroth was active, the light attacks SP1 and SP2 grant no power to his opponent. The game was previously treating each instance of this as the short power lock, rather than as attacks that just didn't give any power. This change should resolve this so that he can keep doing what his abilities describe. DNA 3000 does go a bit further to kind of clarify this, to say, clarify for players who are less technically knowledgeable, gives no power, should have no side effects. You just don't increase power. But the game engine was using short power locks to make this happen, and power locks sometimes have side effects as discussed above. So the patch notes are saying that Doom's grant no power ability used to have unintended side effects, and now they won't have any. I also thought it was kind of good to give as much information as possible, because I know that yesterday some people were putting out some bits saying that he'd been nerfed and things. I just obviously wanted to make sure that I do my due diligence to make sure that I give as much information as possible. So I appreciate everybody that's kind of like added information to this particular forum post and many others as well. Also, there's resolutions for a few things that are causing some issues which we mentioned in Marvel Contest of Champions news, like the Spectre bug, also the Alliance Wars viewing issue with the defense, the find Fury from the first of his name, god, I took a while to get that out, the Vision Arcus issue with trying to get that Fury off there. So that really clarifies all the stuff that we've got on the changelog. Okay, and in other news, and I don't know if you remember back a while ago when I did my last puzzle video, I still don't know whether or not I'm going to do another up-to-date puzzle video, because a lot of it's just pissing in the wind and hopefully that it sticks somewhere. But yeah, like, the fact is, Franklin Richard, this was a champion that I was kind of saying to myself, like, look, there has to be a champion of huge power to open up a portal between Marvel Contest of Champions and Marvel Realm of Champions, and possibilities of that actually being a thing. But as of yesterday, this was completely shot down. Massive shout out to, first of all, MCOC, the other Gabe. So that's El Gabarino, MCOC. He does a lot of kind of like amazing work with abilities, champions, and kind of comic book history tie-ins, stuff like that. Always very interesting when he posts something like that. So I will put a link down in the description if you want to check out some of his stuff. But Gabe, the artistic director, creative director of Marvel Contest of Champions, and as well Marvel Realm of Champions, has now shed a bit of light on the situation of will we get it. And basically, he says his power is basically being overpowered. If we make him, like in the comics, he'll break the game. If we balance him against the others, you'll basically be punching a kid in the face. There's no win to be had here. Now, this is very kind of sad to hear, because I would like to have the idea of like having a like kick-ass champion like Franklin Richards that's able to take on like anything and be like all powerful, even the point of being like a boss of some kind if you had to kind of face off against him because of the way that the story tied in. But you know, that I understand where they're coming from. They don't want to make a champion too OP for the content that is in game. But you never know what's in the future. We've got Dormammu in game, for God's sake. So, you know, anything is really possible. What are your thoughts, guys? Would you like to see a character like that? And is there a champion that you feel that Kabam you could put in, but is a bit too powerful out there in the Marvel universe? Now it's time for arena predictions. My prediction at the moment down there is for Sunspot. Now, for whatever reason, the information has not been released. That is just giving us the idea of what the featured champion is, and that's cool. That's fine. We'll be able to cover that on Friday's edition and do like an up-to-date predictions there. But Sunspot is the one that is coming in on Thursday. And if it's a case that you want him, I would probably say this is going to go about 2.8 mil, which kind of goes in line with a lot of hype that's been for that champion. I'd love to have him as a 5-star, even as a 4-star. I might even consider doing this myself, but it's not really where I'm at in game. More about kind of 5 stars and 6 stars. But yeah, if you want the 4-star, I'm going with 2.8 mil as being that. More than likely it will drop anything between 2.5, 2.4. It's my kind of like opinion there. But you want to feel safe in the grind, so 2.8 maybe for this champion. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That has been the Marvel Contest of Champions news for the 29th of January 2020. Check out some other content here, my most recent content, which is up here. Check out supporting links down here. That'll be for either Patreon or membership. And as well, on the far left-hand corner, you'll probably see my RTM2 logo, which is for my live streaming channel. Go and check that out, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.